against no senties on the side of the defense. So NBS, the coach of TSM, the latest coach of TSM, probably has gotten the reads through this, and we'll have to see how M80 will adjust going into this one. And they're playing on defense first. They're reading it currently where they have 4 players on that side trying to fight that rubble control.
Is this not just much of the same? When it comes down to both these two teams. Yeah, well, true, but just in terms of them trying to push towards a level of tempo that M80 are just not fully prepared with, and no way. Just as soon as Victor peaks, Vora just decides to pop his head off. All right.
That's smoke.
Yeah, that's one way of doing it.
Oh my God, he wars on my rock. It gets an ace!
Wow, what a statement.
Okay. But yes, to go back to what you were stating though, Shift, the composition for M80, you could still be as chaotic as you want to be to fight for rubber control, yes. But when it comes down to not trying to brute force your way through, and you're trying to default a little more, and you're trying to manipulate rotations, when you are also trying to run like the standard protocol of like a 4-1, for example, and take orb control, min-max that spot too, that's going to render it difficult for M80 to try to play around and against that defense, because they're going to have to consistently jiggle peek or try to find information and whatnot. And now we're just going to make sure nobody gets orbs, nobody gets plants, and we move into round number 3.
Okay.
All right, ace after ace from both Teos.
Yeah. Oh, that's
we'll
hilarious.
We'll take that.
Hilarious. Okay, well, all right. Now into the gun round. Things will be a little bit more normal. I want to say that it will be, but like, can I actually say that? Crazy.
The bonus is, I mean, 7's running an Odin too, and that's going to be very deadly. You might even just try to fault line wallbang through the C main as well. But this is what I'm talking about, right? You have to be a lot more aggressive this time around, and Sato does a perfect job for an opener on the sim.
Anyone else?
Well, that works out nicely for M80, taking the battle over towards C mound. 3 will fall, and it's going to be a 2-1 count likely without much more confrontation here, Vansili.
Yeah, and I think you're going to save. Well, the economy is still very good for the side of TSM, so both Recoil and 7 could continue to make this very expensive for M80 within this round. You just got to wait for the smokes to dissipate. Maybe you could work a strong side towards A, especially when the wall hasn't been activated in the very beginning on that side. And you've already gotten so much pressure on Mound in the first place from the side of the defense. And as they throw the one way, they're going to start pulling back. So that might be an opportunity for TSM to start moving forward. That said, that's a nice little counter at the very beginning here for M80. Missing a little bit of util on the side of TSM to really create that type of ruckus behind that mound. When you're not playing a fade, you have the fault line, yes, to start, but you're probably missing that extra relay bolt as well, just to make sure that you're forcing your Yoru to be able to, or the opponent's Yoru to be able to TP away or force him to TP away. And that's where you see this little triangle on that mound. They have to identify that spot that Sato will probably want to play, because he has a get out of jail free card with the Euro TP.
Okay, well, that's kind of the framework of what to expect as we move forward. I mean, again, just like Icebox, we just got thrusted into the mix of this one. And here we go. See what happens as we start to move a little bit further forward. Okay. Odin retained, Vandal retained. Vandal's on the other side for M80. We'll go back to neutral. Start again.
So you see how they have this fault line and the salvos, right? But you're missing that extra relay bolt that you can maybe bounce here on the side of Sim to just get that right side of that mound. But looks like TSM is like, okay, it's been working for us to just brute force towards A at the very beginning. Let's just do that.
That will work. Opening spam starting to come through once again. This time it's just Bao hoping he can connect onto something, and TSM will be free through over at Tree. Smoke coming out for both sides, but again, with the stealth drone, Tree is the entry point to come through. Suppression onto Bao. He's also been stunned, fault lined, and maybe paranoid, but it's messy. It's crazy. Bao has found himself tucked into a corner and still stayed safe somehow on site. I'm sure Panic is crazy, and somehow he catches Sim mid-slide after the initial first one comes through. Now the secondary check, GMD down onto Caillou, and now it's just down to Bao, who can only stand for so long.
And Oki's been good in the clutch before. Doesn't get the wall bang onto the other one, so the plant still goes down.
And recoil just gets a read. No worries there whatsoever. Wow.
And that's what's difficult. the execution you have from TSM, and you're trying to counter as much as you could for M80 to play off the site. But you see when they're trying to flood back in. Razorvine's been used on the attack side because recoil's not really lurking around. So far, TSM has found so much success since the first map of Icebox of just sticking as a group and just a 5-man hit every single site and go for the perfect trades. So now you have Razorvines combined with salvos, combined with Odin sprays, and it's so hard for you to play the retake on the side of M80. And this time you're gonna have to play with an Armageddon too.
Yeah,
dude, this is gonna have to be a clean M80 retake. But Victor's already used his salvos in the very beginning to try to take control of Bound here for M80. So protocols on the defense is quite nice. And now at least the Armageddon's being used for the site hit, and that gives a chance for M80 to just have numbers on a rotate to fight back.
And an aftershock hits on the sim.
Yeah, that hurts.
Right at the choke point. So TSM are stalled a touch here. The defense still holding on the backside of the site, not giving away really any ground whatsoever. But now the Odin spam. Sato, back corner. Red, but not dealt with. More for Sato. And after the slow first map, starting to really wake up here in critical moment as M80 hold on to the site.
And that's interesting that TSM decided to go for an Armageddon and just kind of like stalled everything and not really try to, get the Neon in right away, GMD to TP across, because that's the thing. They just tried to Armageddon. You didn't really try to drone in. You didn't really try to play contact in as well. You didn't even try to like flash in, which is also, like I mentioned before, kind of easier to do for the seaside hits on paper, just because you're not playing with a full anchor on the side of M80. And it looks like M80 on that side weren't really looking to play any type of like stall. They were gonna get caught off guard with a contact play. TSM just needs to change that a bit.
Here.
Well, lots of reads here for Sato. Decoy connects onto a bit of a flash, but he also caught a headshot.
Yeah.
So down to 10 HP, and we'll have to back away. And honestly, for TSM, you're like, all right, cool. We're in spawn. Good for you.
I was sick by it. It had to be Sim or Vora at that point because, yes, you get all that information out of the mental drift from Sato, but there's a combination of fault line to at least capitalize on that hit, and he could TP away. But as soon as he comes out of that TP, he gets insta-dinked and is forced to TP no matter what without even getting a kill onto recoil. That is just nice adaptation coming out from TSM and looking after each other's backs.
Yeah. Well, Sato does catch 7. That's a spike carrier. Just a little bit of an aggression through mid pillars. That's enough for M80 just to back away and say, all right, try to do this 4v5 with no breach. We dare you.
And the read too from Sato is that they're going to pick up spike and just re-hit towards C. I love that the drone's coming out here and that they actually have a player out from TSM at that spot. So although GMD lets himself be seen, it didn't see anybody behind. And exactly that. You should still be in a good position for M80 to hold the B site because of that.
Well, Vora will get the plant off. And now it's on to the retake attempt. Victor held back for a moment. There's the flash. Recoil in trouble. Vulnerable, and he's taking a lot of damage, but still tucked into a corner, or is he? Trades for TSM looking good. GMD holding on, but it's Okeanos who has the final word, as GMD almost got it all done himself.
Yeah, almost did a Vora, but not even in a... Vora at least had players with them to fight and the ace site hit on the pistol, and GMD almost went for a clutch on an ace clutch, even at that for TSM. So that said, though, M80 are starting to find some good footing here back in the first half of Lotus. Yep. Sato with 10 HP was still able to get a first blood for the round, making it very difficult here for TSM to really execute into the site because they didn't have that reach to work with. Now the econ's broken for TSM.
Opportunity starting to brew here for M80. Ultimates relatively similar across the board in terms of current charge. Sato, though, going to be the big kind of unknown quantity, but what?
Dude.
Sheriff versus Op, the Sheriff wins. We love Valorant. Let's go.
GMD today with the Sheriff is insane.
Yeah. Unbelievable as the hit still continues to come through. Victor Caillou respond nicely. So the antics of GMD restricted just a touch Bao
Spike
following up to
down,
make
B.
sure mid-map stays safe, and Vora in 7. Oh, just Vora, last one left.
Say, open the door, pick up the op.
Yeah.
Pick up an orb while you're at it. Why not?
Why not?
But, yeah. But if anything, though, M80 did a great job just closing that gap too. Like, great openings coming out from TSM in the first place, catching some players off guard. But as soon as M80 loses a player in the process, there's already somebody else just holding W, making sure that it could get the trade and not give a chance for TSM to upgrade into these weapons or even play post plant.
All missiles away.
30 seconds left.
Now it's going to be some contact here to see if they can battle this out just a touch. But you expect there to be limited amounts of pressure here, although Vora seems to really be giving this a go.
Yeah.
Fault line will connect. Up and over. Now has been seen. Should just be a matter of timing, and that is exactly what comes through. No problems there. Good response, though. I mean, again, just after the opening sheriff shot lands, you start to panic a little bit, but nothing too crazy.
Exactly. And on an eco, you're chipping at the economy. Look at what you have here for M80. You can't even buy an op anymore. So Vora does a good job to throw it out of the map, even die to a player so that he could get max bonus, right? They lose 3 rounds in a row. You get 2900s across the board, and not just 1,000 if Vora saved the op or just saved in that round. So he's going to be able to have a pretty healthy buy overall in this round. And a tie not being called this time by NBS, though, as the M80 are pretty decent going into these initial engagements against TSM, but TSM played a little bit more slowly instead of just going for the death ball. It doesn't seem to be as effective so far in this game.
10 seconds left.
And I think they should once again go play and disrespect M80 because they're just
it's true.
firing all the cylinders so far.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what we kind of have coming through, because I think to this point, like, you've got this ability to TSM are trying to play with tempo, and M80 are happy to have that battle right now. Is that what it feels like? Like, they're happy to be continuing to play off of this. So there is a level of, trying to get this thing maybe over the hurdle if you're TSM to kind of convincingly take the extremities of the map, or wait out the utility and then re-clear later for a burst play. It seems to be the only option.
Now we're just, again, tempo. Already going inside the B site, trying to get the op or the plant down for 7 so they have the Rolling Thunder to work with on the post plant.
Well, here comes the hit into B. Rolling Thunder going to come through. That's, well, perfectly timed with M80 in the ideal positions for it. 3 quick kills. And TSM, that play didn't work.
Oh. I think they forgot to hit tab themselves and realize that Caillou had a Rolling Thunder to work with. So
yeah,
the first salvos to get into the site was kind of good. But because, 7 had to stay behind and fault line and open up engagements to allow Sim to move in, he just came in right after everybody's trying to set up in the post plant to protect the one planting, and then it just got all rolled by Rolling Thunder, literally. But somehow GMD still gets a plant.
GMD just does GMD things.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things, man.
That's at least something for TSM. That's 300 credits plus all of that bonus that you have. So they could definitely have a healthy buy still going into this round, and Rolling Thunder to work with. So ult cycles are finally coming back into your favor. Sim is 1 away from the overdrive. But the thing is for M80, they also have, once again, a second dimensional drift for Sato, and could potentially get good value out of this too. If you're looking just before we went into the replay, you already have 3 players setting in towards that B site. So, or you're trying to play front B control so you could pincer maneuver towards the C side orb, or Sato could just go for an instant ult and try to find that early information once again and to react out of that.
Okay, see what we get here, round 9. Feels like a pivotal one with the economy of TSM starting to crumble just a touch again, and M80 really picking things up in his first blood for Bao, who is trying to spam through the utility at A. And actually, this is kind of a critical first blood, because Sato, who tried to make the same route happen by playing aggressively through the offensive spawn with dimensional drift, now just has to return back to the backside of A.
Exactly.
And hope that Okeanos can just hang out here and win a 1v1 off timing. Yeah, that'll work. And now the post plant a bit stuck on site.
Rolling Thunder's still available though.
Yeah. But they're stuck on site. That's the problem. Sim, gets the good first. Recoil, responds. Still holding at drop. There's the Rolling Thunder. Recoil. Does he get timing onto one? Yes, sure does. Now it's just down to Okeanos. Trying to play just inside the dark cover. A couple of spam shots have already connected, and the crossfire setup is good. TSM bring us back to within one.
So they tried to go for that again, get the early information, but you can react out of it. You're playing soft side towards the A side, and that's what I was mentioning before. When you're trying to play soft side and you're trying to find early information, but you're jump spotting and everybody from TSM is just spraying through the smoke and it catches you off guard, that's just unfortunate. It allows TSM to just get within the site, gets the TP. You had a nice try from Okeanos that got the backstab onto GMD, but you still have some heavy hitters on the pulse plant with Seven still alive with recoil. So some good kills coming out from TSM towards the end to capitalize on that round. Now the op is back though in the hands of Sato, holding it towards the C side. And TSM, it continues on with the, if it ain't broke, let's not fix it, with the control towards A.
Yeah, I mean, it really, both these two teams have been fine kind of playing off this contact over towards either extremity. But you're right, TSM continued just to kind of work with, playing with that aggression. Opening shot from Sato, just a bit awry, still holding on top of the site, and he's working for hard scoped angle over towards tree, but the rotation towards mid is already on the way.
Just need probably some salvos or something to get Sim in. But everybody rotated towards A. So playing soft towards the B side. Nice entry by IU though.
But the defense still find the kills they need. GMD thinking about collecting the spike and still planning an A. It's a 1v1 though over towards the A site. Bao should be there for it, and he is. Yeah, just nowhere for TSM to go. That is an absolute flawless round from M80 through 10 in the first half.
Yeah, so everything was good in terms of how TSM was taking control of the A side. When the op shot missed, they should have known, okay, Sato is rotated over towards this side, and if we continue to activate and pull the drone, they should be holding a little bit more stronger towards the A site. When you break this door, you should still expect that there's going to be at least one player inside B. Start throwing your smoke, start throwing more utility here that would allow for you to get into a site a little bit more cleanly. And they tried to go for jumping stuns with the Teo instead, and all of them got punished. And that was a little bit of a troll by GMD by TPing to grab spike to try to plant because they didn't fully clear the A site.
Oh, here we go. It's explosions all over the B site. Finger guns are out. Armageddon will fade. Vora now on for the plant. Aftershocks in a good spot.
Oh
but
my
wait,
God, he survived.
Somehow still alive. Wait, didn't take much damage at all. So now it's just out of whoa. That contact, yep, Caillou will get that going. Numbers even, 4v4. But still, for TSM, playing behind the site a touch here. It really is on to GMD timing-wise, and Recoil provides two from the front. Now Sim can repeat. Should be an easy follow-up for GMD, and it is TSM with the thrifty.
Dude, what is going on with TSM with these Sheriff rounds?
No idea.
You had that triple kill from GMD on Icebox. Then you had the first shot from GMD, even though they didn't win the round against Sato. And this time, Recoil out in the open, holding out from B main, drops two. And I was going to say, like, they're fighting so aggressively for TSM, but they need to delay as much as they could because Seven's already rotating all the way out through the door, through the C site to try to get the backstab back on Monk. So he comes in from spawn for the kills, but didn't even need it. We just got some great pendulum swings coming out from TSM on the pulse plant right after into B main to win this 50. But M80 at least has Econ to work with in the last round. Solo sight on A. Bao's forced to fall back, and they'll have to play the retake again.
Poison's off.
Well, here we go. I was going to say, we've still got ultimates available. The Armageddon comes through to clear out the backside at drop. GMD teleporting up just to get ropes control. 7 with the post plant now. First peek, Bao. Good prediction. Nice secondary challenge. Finds the win. Paranoia now cutting across the site as M80 sprint their way back into the part of this back part of site, rather. Okeanos catches another under recoil. Now it's just down to Vora holding onto this corner. Nice flash coming through. We're just spraying. We're praying. We're hoping the Odin can line him up, but it's not going to happen. M80 will be up 7-5 after the half.
And finally, the luck pays out on the favor of M80. A random spray coming out from Okeanos through the smoke just takes down Recoil, who was trying to find a timing for the backstab on the A site. GMD trying to play forward positions, and on a retake, you just mentioned it here, Shift. Every single one of the shots actually landed on the side of M80. And now they're able to pull out ahead by 2 rounds at least, but it's something to work with, especially when it's supposed to be a much more difficult half for you on the defense when you're not playing full Senti. So I would take 7 rounds for sure. They're looking good on the attack now.
Okay. Pistols. Pistols at dawn. Not quite dawn. feels like
time for
dawn
me
on
now.
a new day.
Yeah,
See what we're
all
gonna-
5 of them are looking to move towards this B site. So Reach maybe could try to engage. The peak coming out from recoil, he's gonna get owned.
I think the biggest thing here, though, for TSM is they get free control of C-Long with just a one-way smoke. Now you got a crossing angle by Sim, thanks to the aftershock being a part of that. Plus, you've got the shear wall. That is really well designed. And now the follow-up salvo, Paranoia, Sim still dealing damage. And TSM have significant numbers control, and GMD is hearing, well, majority of this as the battle will rage on over towards A Ruins. And there's just nowhere to go here if you're M80. What an opening off of Sim's position.
Hey, it was pinged at the beginning of the round. They heard recoil throw the wall in front of the B site. Yet, Sato still committed into a flash TP into the site. Somebody else still crossed without baiting the wall. And then when it allows your Sim to just open the door and have a gulag in a tight quarter against that player, and 2 of them instantly drop. I'm not too sure what was happening at that point, where I would probably... I don't know if Sato probably just went for a ghost and a flash probably and didn't have a decoy to break the wall up in the first place, but they were going way too fast when the wall was already up there.
Now TSM packing a punch here off the opening at A. Yeah, and lobby just continues to be flooded with utility. Sim, a little bit of trouble here, but plenty of support. Although M80 really do out-trade this nicely. Problem is, are they able to actually collect these weapons? Poison Cloud down, Caillou in the corner, trying to get the aftershock out, but now it'll just be down to Bao. Does have a Phantom to work with, though.
Yeah.
1v1 now with recoil, and over the top. Oh, the shots. They're clean, they're crispy, but the SMG at range gave Bao a chance until eventually recoil wins it outright.
And thankfully, there was probably at least some sort of aim punch that didn't allow here Bao to readjust his aim to win that duel in the 1v1. But it looked very close for M80 to turn it around back in their favor with a full classic Thrifty. I mean, it started off well with Sim just running in and brute forcing his way first, where I think he had like, what, an 0-6 start? And now he's starting to activate here on the defensive side.
Retrieving thorn trap.
All missiles away.
There's been a lot of life in the lungs, though, for this M80 squad. Tied up now at 7. Sato getting to work on the dimensional drift with an orb collected here at C. The defense heavily set up, though. You don't want to approach there, I'll tell you what. Sheer walls in. We've got 7 with a Bucky. Just challenging anyone to come through. Razorvine in the corner. Sato actually kind of gets through here, though. 7 now with the aftershock coming through.
2 did.
This could be nice, though, for TSM. Lots of distraction coming out. And now finally the sheer wall dropped, but really good isolation from TSM's defense to make sure they split up that attack.
Dude, this is twice. They get baited by the wall. 2 players enter in, and it just gets smothered by players of TSM. Thankfully, though, they still have weapons moving inside the site. They have better weapons, too. They should still be able to close this out for M80.
We'll see. GMD
no, they're
and a
not.
Sheriff, bro.
They're not going to win this round.
No, doesn't feel that way, especially with Caillou just staying entertained by GMD. Paranoia cuts out. We've got 3 members trying to run on through. Caillou does what he can, but that will be enough to fall. Bao, last one standing. It will be a 1v3. Recoil, GMD, both now with rifles. There's the dark cover on the site. Could be some sort of a high-low. This first shot's good. Bao resets. GMD getting to work on the defuse, gets it to halfway. He's gonna call the bait, pulls off, finds the kill.
My
Should be enough
God,
time for the
has it.
defuse. Sure is. And TSM steal away around.
Okay, well, that was almost a TSM throw, though. Wasn't it like a 2v5? What the hell happened there?
Well, it was like a 3v4, maybe 2v4. I don't know.
Okay.
But
Okay,
weapons,
we'll give it a
things.
chance, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, after GMD got that kill with the Sheriff, I was like, yeah, this round's over. I just out-tapped already. But then I come back and it's still a 1v1 and he still defuses it. That said, though, the M80 with this composition are still not doing a good job baiting out the vice wall or trying to find. And you don't really need to find out what the vice util is. You know
Well,
it's C.
That's true. Or there's a wall at B, one of the two. But M80 with weakened up weaponry, just trying to play with some aggression. Do catch a first blood for it. In trouble here. Good isolation coming through. Kaio turns that into a second, but 7. Oh, the timing. Just an Odin flank. TM. Okay, why not? Turns it into a 2v2. But Victor and Kaio will have a lot of room to work with, especially with Kaio with the Rolling Thunder. But 7 gets booped, flashes himself back, but cannot find the first. Recoil, now to the 1v2. Weak health pools on both members for M80. There's a swing, and Recoil takes both. TSM up to 9-7.
I mean, now everybody's just feeling it across the board. Recoil with clutches, Vor with aces.
Clutch.
GMD with clutches as well.
Know my name.
Dude, they can do no wrong this time around for TSM. They're in flow state since this first map. But their defensive side for TSM has been probably as fast and aggressive as their attack side was and their defense side was on Icebox.
I need a weapon.
They're not. They are relentless, and it seems very hard for M80 to deal with against this right now.
Wow.
Keep up.
What a series. Both teams just beating the living hell out of each other.
Who's next?
Fault line queued up here for M80. GMD off the one-way smoke. Dimensional drift, you see the picture-in-picture. That's just feeling things out through B and into Waterfall. Wow, this is so much information for M80 to work with. Teleport into the site. Sato for 1. Great crashes back. And now it can just be something normal if you want to. You don't have to commit to this. You've got Nokianos into sight, and TSM are going to want to try to at least reclaim some of this.
Yeah, but M80 gave it all up. They faked because they're desperate. Because look at Bao. He's moved nowhere on this A side. Yeah. He stayed at rubble the whole round. So they're actually going back into this A site without like knowing if there's still players inside the A site. And they're just kind of lucky at this point that they've made it into a clear open site because Okeanos is able to do this on C.
Yeah, and that pretty much puts the round out of contest, you would think. Defense doesn't have much to work with here in terms of ultimates to change the tides. So it's going to have to be somebody popping off. It's going to be GMD. Clean first. Paranoid into the corner. Victor shuts it down, though. Viper's Pit just to secure the post plan a touch more.
He's going to Odin spray 3 players.
I know.
I can feel it.
You can.
They might not win the round, but he's going to Odin spray 3 players through the wall.
There's one. The salvo comes through. That's the Viper's Pit to drop. 7 in the corner. Long queue time to pull up the Odin, and Kaiju will take advantage.
It was some wallbang damage onto Victor as well. And he was just desperately trying to run back so he could play salvos on the pulse plan too. But thankfully, though, for M80, they are overcooking in these moments because I feel like to me, it feels like they're losing grasp out of their map pick of Lotus. So you're just trying to pull out all stops, full rotate back towards the A site. Even look at that. While they're rotating towards the A site and planning, Okeanos even went to like tap the door on B to think that he's rotating, cutting rotates to that spot and went towards the spawn. So they're really trying everything to get TSM at bay and try to rotate as much as they could. They're doing a good job at it so far. We'll have to see in the next gun round.
Now, GMD, always a threat with the Sheriff, but shut down this time. So instead, you keep your focus on the 4-man hit through pillars. And the stealth drone will see most of this. Bao has to be careful if he wants to take a peek over the top of the jump box. And will instead play the longer angle while the spike safely gets planted at C.
Salvos to stop him at least, though, and they actually closed the gap.
Well, no. TSM completely throttled through that entrance at Waterfall, and this will be a 9th round for M80. Recoil are going to try to see what they can pull, and the answer will be nothing. So, back into the gun round. We're tied at 9.
Yeah, back at 9-9 scoreline, and I think they were fully flashed, too, for those 2 players on the top of pillar for M80 on the post plan, so it turned out in their favor when they heard the overdrive come out from Sim, and it just sprayed and sprayed. Didn't even matter that they got hit by the flash by 7, and they managed to just drop 2 players right there. But old cycles back in favor of TSM here, and NBS is calling something with this. Or you want to try to go for some sort of trap play, but I don't think that that TSM have had like initially the correct reads at the very beginning of these rounds on how they're posted up on their defense so far. So I don't know if they want to go for like an ultimate gamble between a Rolling Thunder pinch on Mound, and if it doesn't work out, at least you still have 2 other ults to play with for the retake.
Lots of questions. Lots of options, I think, is probably the better way to put that. But so far, I will say, kind of, you know, looking at this second half, it doesn't feel too dissimilar to what we saw in the first. Like, both teams very happy to fight each other aggressively.
Yeah.
And I think that always builds for, again, in a matchup that is, you know, as timeless as this one seems to have been over the course of this year, but also kind of looking at this, the small differences in composition, you start to kind of feel out, like, how these two teams prefer to, like, hit the go button. And you know, for M80 on this side, last 2 rounds, it's just been a lot of by way of like Victor and Caillou just opening up close space and then finding a 1v1 win somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, they've locked out one area already.
So bold. Oh, Sim just catches the angle onto one. Relay bolt back. Sato going to exit the dimensional drift in towards B. Leaving just recoil. Yeah, the wall is up. Rolling Thunder going to come through. That actually connects on the Sato, but he gate crashes back over to Sim's direction. Does he catch timing on this? Sure does. Armageddon over the middle of the map. Victor's able to find one, but nothing more. And it's just down to Caillou and Pao. What a read here from TSM's defense.
Dude, the spike went through with Sato, and he TP'd away and just left the spike for dead. I mean, there are a lot of ults being thrown out on the side of the defense. Rolling Thunder, Armageddon, Vice Orb, or Vice Ult. Everything was there. So I was going to say, are we going to try to cycle a little bit of these ults? No, we just want to try to close the round at least right away. But, dude, this is not a winnable condition here.
No, you don't think so. Unless Caillou catches one for free, and then we turn this into a 2v3. Now you've got the opportunity to play in the B side kind of on a crunch for both sides.
And 2 flashes available for Caillou.
Mm-hmm. There's one. Or not.
He's 0.
And they know exactly where Bao is. Sim's going to catch 4 in the round, most critically the opener. And I won't say more importantly, but I think more surprising is he finds Sato on the return back to A lobby.
That's the other crazy part too. Yes, after he got that first kill into A main. And then Sato TP's out because he left the TP there and he had his knife out. Where's the communication coming out from M80's side to say that the Neon was there?
I think there may be a level of like the Rolling Thunder comes through. Maybe you're thinking that the Neon is rotating back in towards small door. And Sato's just thinking he's already concussed. Like there's not much he can do besides just try to run away. So hard to say. Quick Armageddon gonna come through for the offense.
Huff it on the coat.
Yeah, Okeanos. How about that from Okeanos? Just using the teleport to get creech control, and M80 have the numbers.
Freak.
Not for long.
Well, Odin Dober, good aftershock.
Yeah, gets him out of the drone.
Trying to spam on the corner. He's got help, and
Dude,
oh my.
So
2v4 for TSM, and 7 saves the day by just not allowing that Okeanos teleport and tree hit for M80 to ever lead to a plant.
Yeah. And the aftershock to get your opponent out of the drone where Victor gets 0 value. And now you have no choice but to play protocol for M80. And you're still hyper-focused on the amount of times you're jiggling with the Odin on 7 that it allows Recoil to just swing on the back of the site and to go for the double swing to kill everybody. Dude, that is just good mechanics coming out from 7 as his breach.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So many moments for TSM throughout this map. It's hard to pick only a few.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though, as you mentioned just now, Shift, a lot of hero moments and highlight reels that had to come out of TSM. But the scoreline is still fairly close. So for me, I'm looking at the macro side of things for M80. Despite them getting caught here and there from time to time, it's been them all along. It's just now trying to play against these hero anchor players within the sites, and they can't bust through.
Yeah. Well, it's crunch time here for M80. Economy's still fine, but it won't be for long, especially with this forced purchase into what is largely just 3 rifles, a Guardian, and a Stinger. No ultimates, but Caillou's really close to a Rolling Thunder. Other side of things, it's just GMD with a From the Shadows, which you don't expect to really be too much of a round difference maker. So critical round here for M80. Otherwise, they're looking at 9-12 on their map pick and a busted up eco going into the last round potentially.
Yeah. Guardian, Spectre. They're trying to walk contact fake towards the B side. He pulled a little bit of that rotate, but both initiators are still playing towards C for TSM. So it ends up still being a good stack that they have.
Paranoia being held on to. You've also got, yep, 7 on the cross. No fault line, though. Just has the flashes available. The Paranoia still hasn't been sent out, though. Good discipline for TSM in the force of what is a lot of M80's offense.
And good for A-Meter as well. The stop, I love it because they've already baited out the wall on the B side first. So now they can start working around the map. So the more quiet you stay here, especially after breaking his drone, the more you have a capability for, an opportunity rather, for M80 to start pulling rotates. This drone going out towards tree, I think potentially could have gotten hurt here by recoil. So it forces out the rotate from Vora. And they're so slow here. And you're playing into the unknown for TSM that you're just gambling your stack this time around.
Yeah, you sure are.
And M80 has a Rolling Thunder to enter towards the site after.
30 seconds
Drone's
left.
activated.
Flashing.
There we go.
Good hit. Flash trap destroyed.
Execute over towards tree, looking to use it.
He
Oh,
crouched
recoil
under.
just not able to lock down at Sato, just crouching underneath the gunfight. Good first blood for M80. Okeano's trying to hold on for a plant, and Sato getting aggressive on ropes. Follow-up flash, has Vora panic.
10 seconds left.
And honestly, I just don't know how you can test this right now after TSM unless Sim just breaks timing, but they get the elimination. Spike will be planted behind this in just the nick of time, and yeah, that's enough for TSM to back away.
Yeah, and I respect the attempt there from Sim. If he actually gets that kill, you heard the announcer say 10 seconds left. Somebody else picks up the spike. I know they didn't have salvos to work with on the side of Vora and 7, but that little gap could have been a moment where M80 are scrambling for a plan, and the last two could actually get some sort of openings with how good they've been on the on these clutch scenarios. But yeah, things start off very well for M80. Great manipulation around the map, great defaulting, great utility to break all of that util on the side of TSM on a defense, and then everything starts snowballing in favor of M80 when Sato just crouched under all the shots of recoil just by that box.
We doing this or what?
Okay. Gives M80 a major lifeline here. All guns all the time, feels like. But there are a lot of light armors on the table here. This is going to lead to a lot of caution. You would say you would think team players would be a little bit more cautious, but that hasn't been the staple of this match at all. So lots of pings for the offense of M80 over towards C Mound. They're not going to see the opening one-way smoke, so they teleport across. They're going to get C for free, but on the other side, TSM will get A for free. So again, both teams getting what they want, essentially.
Exactly. This is what's been working well for TSM. Just take control of outside of the smoke towards the A. Now the drone sees nothing on B. You know the hit's coming towards C. So now the good thing is that recoils playing on the C side, we could delay with the razor vines, and then you're going to start getting this flank from behind. And I love that TSM's finally starting to fight, because remember, you're not playing any senties on the side of M80.
Exactly. But Bao, the one responsible for the flank,
Here.
he's chosen his Alamo and found first blood as the spike is planted. Paranoia comes through. Good help from Victor coming back to the play. 7 with an Odin. Good luck, have fun. You think from this angle, but he nearly gets 2. But as he drops, now TSM are a bit stuck
Gotta
at
save
the
again.
precipice of exited through C, but they're going to back away again.
And that's the issue of the rotate from TSM, though. I love that they went for a triple flank, but what I didn't like about it was that Sim just started going into the high gear, so making elephant noises on the rotate, and then decides to walk peek when you have to be at least aware that some players should be watching a flank, because they also know the weakness of M80 is that they're not playing Sentinel or any senties, so you have to play somebody watching flank. I would have liked if at least there was maybe like a 3-2-1, so the breach could maybe fault line from 7 somewhere and guess it out, so that Sim could actually swing out. I know you're trying to play the contact,
Yeah.
but if you're going to try to play the contact, then don't make too much noise on your rotate and separate the gap that you have on a triple flank, because everybody just started swinging one by one and just died.
Well, this would be a really interesting round here, Van Silly, because you don't have enough purchase for Sim, so it's going to be the finger guns immediately.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, yep, C push down. You also got the breach for the defense of 7 at mid. Dimensional Drift will scout that out. You see the picture in picture. And there's the flash, there's the play, but 7, he still gets 1. TSM still survived through this. Now the interaction on Desato works out for Recoil, who's holding the back of the B site. But it's messy, it's mixy. It's just down to who can win their gunfights at this point, 2v2. TSM playing through Pillar's side, Okeanos for 1. Vora follows up, but is weak.
Dude, we're going to think about that round after, but on the 1v1, salvos are back up for Vora. And now it's both the guessing game. Victor has the upper hand because he has drones, salvos, and also good positioning on the pulse plan. Vora probably has no choice but to tap Spike. And then it will start engaging, okay, I know where my opponent's at.
Hence moment as Victor will re-wrap back over to Waterfall.
Missiles away.
Salvo out towards the back. Victor's seen everything he needs to and will connect as Vora comes back to double check. M80. 12-11, take a late lead, and what a resurgence this has been after being down. What, at one point? Yeah, they were down 8-11 at one point.
Yeah, and it's about time that somebody from M80 was graced by the Valorant gods to be able to have a heroic round, and that was Okeanos to get 3 kills at that point. Because how the hell, I think that was 7 inside the B site. How the hell does he still get a Odin kill in front of B main when Sato is in his dimensional drift, seeing all of the information, calling out for the team, and then finally comes out of the dimensional drift for a shorty kill?
Yeah, for real. Oh, but Sim first blood. This continual battle over A rubble. Wait, that's bold. 7 trying to go for an orb. Okeanos will find 1 in response, but now the Rolling Thunder has been earned, and look at this. They want to go. I don't know if they're going to get there in time, though. This Rolling Thunder clears down A rubble, but that's about it.
Oh, almost trying to go for the wall bang too. Is just giving them haircuts. But still, you're pushing everybody towards the C site, even towards B. The wall is still up.
Yeah,
the wall has been a pain point for M80 this whole game.
Victor will allow himself to be seen by the pillars. As you mentioned, the wall is down, and now there's a dark cover in the way. Makes this challenge a little bit more difficult. Great fault line. And M80, they commit 2 through, but you're right. The spike does not make it in. But you still have to double check this. You somehow have to re-clear this if you're TSM, and the spike will eventually make its way on. Saving the salvo is Vora. Fault line, trying to be used with this. You also have flashes available. There goes 1 of each. Vora 1v1 down low. And wow, the salvo connects for the first, and Vora makes good onto the second for Bao. Just down to Victor. 1v4 only has the spike to play off of, and this Armageddon will seal the deal. How about a little bit of overtime in map 2?
What a way for Aurora to close out the map as well. 2 beautiful kills, 1 starting with the salvos. And you mentioned it, he saved the salvos, not the lay, because he knew he didn't have that timing to stop the plant anymore. So it gives a chance here for Recoil to move in from the C side, for the breach to meet up with him at 7, and then they start flood utiling. They didn't even need to swing back into the sites to be able to get the first kills. You got 1 kills with the salvo, you force a swing out from Bao, I think, from the pit, and that's 2 first kills, and then Victor's alone when you have the Armageddon ready, and that's extra innings now in the series. But TSM, they didn't have the best of openings with Sim on the attack here. So M80, I think they take the upper hand in this round number 25, the first round of OT. Just in terms of how they were able to shut down Sim at the very beginning on the defensive side.
That's very fair.
Gotta go.
It's just so hard to tell. I mean, you're dealing with a pretty even split across both halves. A lot of the difference making coming by way of ultimates, which obviously you don't have here. Sim, quick, all the way through the action. It's messy, it's sloppy, and a trade will still come through. Holding on a small door, though, is 7, trying to get the glass cannon with the Odin in the mix. Recoil off the pin, shut down by Caillou. Nearly blindsided was Bao, but help comes from a teammate, and now you've got a 4v3 on the retake with 7 at low health.
A reflank on stairs. Vora's dead, no more salvos.
Counter flash, decent for GMD, but traded. Just on to 7. Oh, and he's been seen. Yeah, get booped. That'll work. M80 take the advantage in the first overtime.
And as much as we were saying it was difficult here to shut down Sim, what good util could run from Caillou?
Switching
The flash
sides.
blinds him, can swing
Match
out, still
point.
gets the kill, but dies from Aftershock. But everything after that from Caillou was superb. And Vora needed to stay alive at that point so that they could actually run the salvos so that Seven could actually get the backstab into stairs. But Caillou just said, we got a fast tempo back into the site.
Yep.
Throws all the util, they go. And M80 are back at that point.
And keep in mind that even though it was 7-5 on the both halves, the difference maker in those halves were TSM won both pistols and follow-ups. So without that being an indication, you start to look at that tally and say M80 may have an advantage just playing with regular full purchase. Fishing for things. As M80 find first blood, razor wire out, recoil good for one, looking for more, high-low stack, and isn't able to connect. So Caillou will be low on health, but still numbers good for M80 as they make their way on site. Oh, goodness. Heavy weaponry, tough to tote on the way down from ropes. Vora and GMD try to keep us going in extras. M80 off the post plant, find Vora for the first, just down to GMD, and he is way outside this play.
Well, they got the opener in the end. Some battles that Sato had a beautiful opening to start things off, but GMD on a 1 versus 4 when salvos are back up for Victor. It's impossible.
Definitely feels that way. Paranoia is exchanging hands. GMD seen on the teleport. And M80 late second half heroics. Catching what, 5 out of 7 there at the tail end, get us to an overtime. And then when we're there, it's first blood spree. M80 just doing the damage.